everyone, DPX here, welcome back to another show review. Today I'm reviewing Squid Game Season 3. Now before we get into this, you know what to do. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will put you in debt. So I realized I haven't made a proper review of Squid Game before. I think I reviewed the first season on my podcast, and I didn't really review the second season, but I did talk about it when I ranked all the shows from last year that I watched. So, that, you kind of got my review there. But look at this, I get to review the third season, and it's the final season. What do I think about Squid Game leading up to Season 3? Season 1, with some issues, I thought was a near-perfect season, right? There was, the ending twist, the VIPs, and, the side plot with, the detective. I thought kind of brought it down a little bit. But other than that, it's, a near-perfect season of television. Season 2 is, the most unnecessary season of television, while also, me being all for it, if you know what I mean. It was a season of television that when it came out, I'm I don't think Squid Game needs a second season. I don't think this is just a money grab. But will I watch it? Absolutely, yeah, I'm gonna watch it, and I did, and I actually thought Season 2 was pretty solid. It introduced a bunch of new characters, this new, subplot, or not subplot, but, it took the first season and did, a bit of a spin on it. The main problem with Season 2, though, is that it felt like half a season, and when you learn that, you actually do learn that it was half a season, I mean, it might be called Season 2 and Season 3, but if you look more into it, you'll actually find out that Season 2 and 3 were being developed as one long season, but Netflix said, hey, let's split it up. So they split it up. So when Season 2 ended, it kind of felt like a weird place to end. It definitely, a good cliffhanger, sure, but it didn't feel like a good place to end a season, right? So, because of that, Season 3 is in a bit of a weird spot, where basically just, Season 1, you kind of, get introduced to this world, these characters, the games. Season 2, you get reintroduced to the characters that, survived Season 1, and, you then get introduced to these new characters. Season 3 just basically picks up immediately after Season 2, So it was just a weird spot to end things. However, I will say that, Season 3, the big question here is, will it stick the landing? Because it is the final season of Squid Game, right? Which is crazy to say, because it felt like, Squid Game was so big when the first season came out, but then we get 3 years of no new, Squid Game media, aside from that game show that I haven't seen yet. But I hear it's terrible. But then it kind of felt like out of nowhere, we got a second season, and then now the third season and it's done. That's just kind of weird, and also it doesn't quite feel like 3 seasons. Even if you want to say that Season 2 and Season 3 feel like Season 2A and Season 2B, it doesn't even really feel like Season 2. It feels more like a 2-part, continuation to a limited series, if that makes sense. But either way, I'm getting a little sidetracked. Season 3 just basically picks up where Season 2 left off, and Season 2 was about Giyun and all the other characters who were aligned with him, trying to take down the organization, right, from the inside, and might have actually given me possibly my favorite finale of the series. It might, maybe on an emotional level, Season 1 wins, but Season 2's finale is quite insane. But after all that, it's you just have to keep going. Giyun wants to save everyone. He wants everyone to come out alive, but when he tried doing that, it didn't really work. I'm going to try my best not to get into spoilers here, but I might spoil a bit of Season 2. Either way, it kind of tells you, there's, how this goes. There are a lot of characters, a lot of which you're getting invested in, but they can't all live, And there's other kids, like there's the mom and the son, there is the like trans person, there's the pregnant woman and her like baby daddy, all of them are, there's like the one like reserved shy kid, there's like the bully, not the Thanos dude from season 2, but like his friend that he like teamed up with. They're all here, and you see what happens to them. Some of which like I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say what happens. But, like some characters, their endings felt a little abrupt. But either way, like it's still impactful. It's still like devastating. There was like a couple episodes of this season. It was episode 2. Like, I'm not gonna say like what the game was, but they played a specific game, and I was stressed the whole time. And then a new character gets introduced. I'm not gonna say what happens, and you might be wondering how a new character gets introduced. But if you saw the season, you'll know a new character gets introduced who's totally innocent and can't really defend themselves, and that just adds more stress. The whole time I'm thinking, you better not fucking kill that character, I swear to God. And the way things ended, I did see, like, there was, like, a quote from the showrunner who said, like, there's not gonna be a happy ending, which I felt like is a spoiler. And I feel like maybe me saying that is a bit of a spoiler. I will say, I'm not gonna say whether or not that's true, but the way things ended was definitely, like, sad and gut-wrenching, but satisfying, if that makes sense. I will say they stuck the landing here. I'm not gonna say it's the best finale of all time, of any show ever. Definitely not that. Like, the finale was definitely bumpy a little bit. There's some issues with the season that is, like, highlighted more so in the finale that I can get to in a little bit. But I will say, when it comes to, like, tying up the loose ends and, like, putting, like, an end to, like, the main plot and all that I thought they did really well. The thing is, though, remember in season 1, there is, like, the A plot, which is, like, the games and the characters playing the games. And then there's the B plot, which is the, there's the characters, like, the detective, and him trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, right? In season 2 and in season 3, there is the A plot, which is the games. The B plot, which is one of the soldiers, one of the guards, doing her own thing. And then the C plot is the detective and his crew. And whenever cut to them, this is like the shared sentiment about this, but whenever cut to them, it just felt like, can we like cut back to the other guys? The A plot and even the B plot are way more interesting than this. On the one hand, it is like, you do, I guess, kind of need a group of characters that have more of a chance at living. Because you go watch the A plot, and even the B plot, like you saw season 1, you saw just how strict things are at that organization. As long as you're there, you don't have a very good chance at living. So it is refreshing to watch these characters who, they could die, sure, but it's not like, one of them's making it out alive. Like, they all have a better chance at living, right? It's not quite like that when you watch that, but it's still, like, it's just like the least interesting thing that happens, and what it leads to, with the detective, was kind of underwhelming. Now, after that underwhelming part, I did kind of like how it all came together, how everything came together. In fact, I do really like how all the plot lines came together in the end, right? But every time it cut to the detective and his crew, it's just like, can we just, like, cut back? And also, I'm not going to spoil anything, but when watching this season, and it's very clear that they're not done. And why should they be done? Squid Game Season 1 was, like, the biggest thing Netflix ever had. Season 2, I don't think was as big, but, it still, like, did numbers. Now, I'm sure Squid Game Season 3 is going to do numbers as well. You know, even that like the game show that they had. I'm sure that did well. And there's a very specific tease at the end for something that could come later. And I believe it. I don't know if it is confirmed or not, but I just to not spoil anything, I won't say what it is. But it's clear that they're not done. You know, they might be done with like the current like cast of characters, but there's more you can do with the Squid Game IP and the concept, and they are doing that. But as it is, Squid Game Season 3, people are hating on it. Like, I saw like some like low reviews for it. IGN gave it a 7, which a 7 is not a bad score. But at the same time, it is kind of like you think something is mid, but you don't want to say it's mid, so you're giving it a 7. You want to say it's good, when you think it's mid, you know. I'm guilty of that too. I'm not going to say I'm not. But I think this is a good season, but it doesn't feel like a season. It feels like the second half of a show, of another season, which even then did not feel like the second season of a show. It felt like maybe a sequel, limited series. You know what I mean? Like, even though they're in the same universe and it's like kind of a continuation of the story, season 1 feels like a limited series, and then season 2 and 3 feels like they split up, kind of like an epilogue / sequel series. Either way though, I enjoyed Squid Game Season 3. It gives, like, you know, you're on edge, you're stressed out in the best way, you know, it is gut-wrenching when it needs to be, but it left me satisfied, although a bit of a bumpy road to get there. So in the end, I'm gonna give Squid Game Season 3 an 8 out of 10. That's my review for Squid Game Season 3. What do you guys think? Have you guys seen the show, not seen the show? Have you guys seen Season 2? Have you guys seen Season 1? Have you guys seen anything? Anything about Squid Game, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, or I will put you in debt. Bye!